Hey, it's Alejo, and welcome to First Person. Today's episode is a little bit different. It's just me today, no guest, but I wanted to take a few minutes to share why I started this podcast and to tell you a bit more about my own story and the simple hypothesis that led me to get on this journey. That your lived experiences, especially as an immigrant or someone from an immigrant family, have a direct impact on what you create. And they can actually make you a better entrepreneur, creative, and builder. Because when you grow up navigating places and cultures, adapting becomes second nature. You get used to change, you learn to move through uncertainty, and you stay curious. Because curiosity becomes a way to connect, to learn, and to figure things out along the way. And that's been very true for me. I was born and raised in Cali, Colombia, and I went to a German school even though nobody in my family spoke any German. And when I was 16, I spent 6 months in a small town in Germany as an exchange student. And I lived with a host family, I went to high school, I had to find my way in a completely new culture. And while I already spoke the language, meeting people, making friends, figuring out how to fit in while enjoying my time there, it was still a stretch. But it gave me a new kind of independence. And then every summer, I would also come to New York to visit my mom, who had moved here a few years back. And I would say those trips shaped me, not just because I got to explore a new city, but because they gave me space to figure out who I was. I'd spend full days walking around, visiting museums, soaking everything in. And that's where design first started to feel like something I could build a life around. But honestly, creativity had always been a part of me. My dad's a designer, and some of my earliest memories are of being in his studio, just playing in the background, art everywhere on the walls, and black foam boards with pinup work, just getting the inspiration going. And I would sit in one of those desks and just draw. And that memory still sticks with me, it's quite vivid. And then when I was 17, I moved to the US for college. I studied design in New York, and it was great to be surrounded by people from all over the world. That energy of the city, of the people, of being in a place that never stops moving had a big impact on how I think and work. And as I started my career in design, I worked for a few years, then went back to grad school in 2013 to get my master's in branding. And that's where I met my wife. We got married in 2015, and since then we've built a life together here in New York, traveling, exploring, staying curious. That part has never changed. And one of our most memorable trips, Japan in 2019, right before the pandemic, which was the same year I started a company in the travel space. Talk about timing. But as a designer, I had an advantage when I started a company. I already knew how to build things, brands, products, user experiences. But starting a company also pushed me into new territory and out of my comfort zone. I had to start learning about funding, creating business plans, and just the uncertainty that surrounds all of that. And it wasn't easy, but I leaned into the same mindset that helped me navigate everything else, staying curious and taking it one step at a time. And I would say that that's the immigrant mindset. You learn to start from scratch, you make things work with what you have, you navigate systems that weren't built for you, and over time, that becomes your superpower. And that's really why I started First Person. This show, as you know, is about real conversations with immigrants and first generation individuals who've created something meaningful, whether it's a business, a startup, a studio, a cultural project, or a personal leap. Because I believe those of us who've lived between worlds have something powerful to share. And our stories aren't just about overcoming challenges, they're about turning lived experiences into vision, empathy, and creativity. Here's the thing, this podcast isn't just about my perspective. Yes, I have a hypothesis that your lived experiences, especially as an immigrant or someone from an immigrant family, do have a direct impact on what you create, and that they can actually make you a better entrepreneur, creative, and builder. But I don't think there's one answer. What I'm really hoping to do here is to start a conversation, to hear from others, share perspectives, and create something positive, honest, and useful. Something we can all learn from together. So that's a bit about me. And now I'd love to hear from you. If you're sitting with an idea, going through a transition, or thinking about what's next, send me a message. Tell me what you're building, what's been shaping you, or what leap you're considering. Because these stories, mine, my guests, yours, they're all connected. So thanks for being here, and more stories are coming very soon.